They wouldn't just tell us like that. I had to keep calling, I had to keep texting, showing up.
Parents are worried after accusations of mistreating special education students at Sinton ISD. Arise. Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam has their concerns coming up. Plus, Election Day has come and gone, and with most of the local races now decided, we'll share those results and their impact next. Chris 6 News at 5 starts right now. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. We lead things off tonight with news out of Sinton, where 2 teachers are suspended following allegations of mistreating special education students. Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam spoke with one of those parents and has a story.
I'm your Sinton Neighborhood News reporter, Adam Beam. The district here is looking into an alleged case of abuse. I'm sitting down with the parents looking for answers.
We noticed that he didn't want to get down to go to school.
This was just one of the differences Araceli Garza noticed in one of her sons.
We noticed that our oldest son did not want to come through the doors. He just looked at us and he just bawled his eyes out.
Garza has 2 sons who attend Welder Elementary. Both have level 2 autism spectrum disorder and are nonverbal, which their mother says has only made an alleged incident in the classroom more difficult as a parent.
So I told them if my kids could verbally tell me, our conversation and the whole case would be a lot different.
According to Garza, in September, her sons were in class when her youngest had his hand smacked by a teacher, who Chris 6 will not be identifying, with another alleged incident involving that same teacher raising their hand to her oldest son. However, a review by Driscoll Children's Hospital's child abuse pediatrician found no visible signs of injury on either child.
They wouldn't just tell us like that. I had to keep calling, I had to keep texting, showing up.
But speaking with Garza and other parents who did not wish to be identified, this incident and others are worrying due to a lack of transparency.
Everything's just kind of getting brushed off. I keep emailing the principal, superintendent, and everything, but we want to hear from the big man, and he has yet to get in contact with me, and it's sad that I'm told that he is very aware of me.
Chris 6 reached out to the district for comment. In their statement, they say the district continues to engage directly with parents and that they have communicated directly with all parents who have shared concerns with them. The district also responded to safety concerns, saying a security camera will be installed in the classroom once delivered.
The district said in their statement that while a criminal investigation has been closed, the 2 teachers remain suspended pending an internal investigation. Reporting in Sinton, I'm your Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam for Chris 6 News.
All right, Adam, thank you. Well, nationally, 7.5 million children were enrolled in special education programs nationwide. Here in Texas, 774,000 students are enrolled in special ed programs. However, there are just over 12,000 special ed instructors in Texas, according to most recent data. In 2025, $15 million were earmarked for special education programs in the state. Well, bus fares in Corpus Christi are set to increase significantly, but the committee voting on the changes won't see a federal study showing the impact on low-income and minority riders. The Corpus Christi Regional Transportation Authority Board approved fare increases in October. The base fare will jump from 75 cents to $1 and adding a 25-cent fee for transfers that are currently free. But a 30-page equity analysis shows those changes would disproportionately impact low-income and minority riders, groups that make up most of the RTA's passengers. 66% of riders earn less than $15,000 a year, and nearly all transfer at least once per day. Chris 6 Investigates confirmed the Corpus Christi Metropolitan Planning Organization will vote on the base fare tomorrow, but they didn't receive the study, a decision from CCRTA's attorney John Bell, which could raise questions about transparency from the board.
The equity analysis is great. We needed that. But the Exhibit A of the actual fare we're adopting needs to be something discrete and clear.
Well, CCRTA CEO Derek Macheksak says the decision was meant to keep the material simple and easy to understand. The base fare and transfer increases will take effect January 5th. An MPO committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday at 2:30 p.m. at City Hall. The committee will only be able to vote down on the base fare. Well, elections took place nationwide last night, and here in Texas, there were a few important propositions that we can now show you the results on. Proposition 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all passed. For a full list of those propositions and their results, you can head to our website, KrisTV.com. We also had a handful of leadership races take place in Taft last night. The unofficial results have Mayor Pro Tem Elida Castillo as a projected winner for the mayoral race for Ward 1. Esmeralda Mimi Cruz took 53% of the votes, and Ward 2 will have Mariah Moreno representing them after she received 38% of the vote. And in Robstown, the mayoral race will be heading towards a runoff election. The final results had Mary Ann Sines finishing first with 40.45% of the vote, followed closely by current Mayor Pidi Martinez, who received 37.2% of the vote. Under Robstown's election rules, a candidate must win a majority with more than 50% of the vote. The runoff election will take place Saturday, December 13th. Early voting will be from December 1st until December 9th.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter in Port Aransas. The people have spoken. Voters approved an increase to the city's hotel occupancy tax. So what happens now, and how are people responding?
The city of Port Aransas will raise the hotel occupancy tax on hotels and short-term rentals from 13% to 15%.
Well, we're excited, so we got, a lot of work ahead of us.
The new increase will allow the city to continue its venue project, which includes allowing the city to reimburse itself for renovations and expansion to the Civic Center and Community Center.
A community center is probably about 2 months away from being completed. Civic Center is probably 8 months out.
Parsons took me on another short tour of the Civic Center under construction.
So right now they're doing all the demo and the new ceiling.
Another layer that the increase is set to help upgrade is the curb appeal of several roads in Port A.
So like right now, if you looked at Allister Avenue G or Cotter Avenue A, they're just kind of bare bone street, a little patch of grass.
The city plans to do this by streetscaping these roads using the new funds from the tax increase.
To make a wider sidewalk with vegetation, planters, nice lighting, trash cans, benches, so it could be a number of things.
All of which city leaders say will benefit both the locals and tourists of Port Aransas. I wanted to stop by a business that will eventually be impacted by the streetscaping, so I stopped right here.
This place is just going to grow. More people are going to come. We've got to be able to have walkability, have a way for people to get around, and fix some of these things to make this more appealing for our visitors and for the people that live here.
City Manager David Parsons tells me the tax increase will start on January 1st of 2026. In Port Aransas, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, KRIS 6 News.
All right, Tony, thank you. Well, not most people get a hotel in Port Aransas for the sunny weather at the beach, but will we have some of those warmer temperatures as the week continues? Let's bring in meteorologist Stephanie Laubert to have a first look at our forecast, potentially some warmer weather.
A little less on the autumn side. We're wearing orange because that's what our maps are going to look like here as we head through the rest of the week. More of those 80s for the afternoons. But we still had some relatively cool mornings. This morning, for example, pretty chilly. Have a look for yourself at how your neighborhood fared for that morning low temperature. Now, this typically happens right before dawn. So Corpus Christi International Airport reported a temperature of 54 degrees. We're in the 60s along the coast. And for those inland neighborhoods, a mix of those low to middle 50s across the board. But our mornings are getting slightly warmer, and our afternoons are too. That part you've probably noticed, but the trend has been a fast warm up as soon as the sun rises above the horizon because we've had less humidity, but that is increasing along with our temperature. So what does that all boil down to for your weekend forecast? I've got a preview ahead.
All right, Steph, thanks. Well, the shutdown in the federal government has now reached day 36, officially making this the longest shutdown in U.S. history. President Trump has urged the GOP senators to end the Senate filibuster, which requires a supermajority of 60 votes to pass a bill in the Senate. Now, this can be changed at any time by adjusting the Senate rules via a simple majority of 51 votes. This was most recently attempted in January of 2022. Then Senate Democrats were attempting to pass nationwide voting legislation, but would need to eliminate the filibuster to do so. Then West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Arizona Senator Kristen Sinema voted against the rule change. The worry among the side with the majority is that once they eliminate the filibuster, it will never return and would thus harm them when they are no longer in the majority. Well, the other option is negotiation, and as of now, the big holdup appears to be health care. Republican senators have been attempting to pass a continuing resolution, which is a stopgap that would keep the previously agreed upon spending for a few weeks while both sides negotiate a permanent deal. Democrat senators are hoping to renegotiate the terms for the Affordable Care Act before the current subsidy prices rise. There is reportedly a deal being negotiated in Washington right now. We will bring you the latest on the developments from both shutdown right here on Chris 6 News.
A new store is coming to Cal Allen. I'm Tyrese Boone with buzz from neighbors over Academy Sports and Outdoors.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
I'm Tyrese Boone, your Cal Allen neighborhood news reporter. It may not look like much now, but soon an Academy Sports and Outdoors store will be opening here in this area. I spoke to city leaders and residents about this new development. City Council recently approved rezoning for the land near Interstate 69 and County Road 52, clearing the way for an Academy Sports and Outdoors to break ground. The 59,000 square foot store is estimated to cost $7 million and will be the first of its kind in Cal Allen.
What I like about it is that it's going to draw from the other surrounding areas, Robstown, Sandia, Mathis.
Councilman Everett Roy says the new development is another sign of growth for the Northwest Side, which has seen more commercial and retail activity over the past few years.
This is really important because everybody talks about the South Side and London and some of the other areas, but this is going to be a great win for the Northwest.
Including the Academy store, the plan also calls for a new commercial area with possible room for restaurants and other retail along the interstate, which Cal Allen and neighboring residents are happy to hear.
There's one in Portland, but there's also one in Corpus Christi, so to me, having them around the areas would be great. There's lots of sports here in this area, and I think it would be a good addition.
Neighbors like Janine say the new academy will save travel time and bring convenience for families involved in local sports and outdoor activities. Construction is expected to begin in March, and the project is expected to be completed by October. In Cal Allen, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tyrese Boone, Chris 6 News.
All right, Tyrese, thank you. And the bridge part of the Harbor Bridge project is done, but work continues on other parts of that project. For example, the northbound ramp from the Crosstown Expressway to southbound Interstate 37 will be closed tomorrow night. The temporary ramp closure begins at 9 p.m. Thursday and is expected to end Friday morning at 6. Be prepared for delays and detours if that's part of your daily commute.
Well, how's the commute looking now? We're showing you the view from our SPID camera. This time yesterday, we had some traffic boo-boos, and as we've been telling you, that's to be expected with daylight saving time. Give yourself a little bit more attention out on the roadways, but we'll show you those maps now. The usual stop-and-go areas around downtown and down 37, and where the Crosstown and SPID meet, we're seeing some stop-and-go on SPID, so you can use Ayers as an alternate. As you head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. Stick around. I've got your forecast next. All right, happy hump day. This Wednesday, November 5th, brought us another cool morning and warm afternoon, at least in comparison to what we typically expect for this time of the year. But today marks our first time where our high temperature is expected to be below 80 degrees. The average high temperature has now moved down to 79, and we will stay that way through March. So where is fall? We had it for a little bit, and look at this. It's fleeting. So we have some 90s. It was one. Now we got 2 90-degree days in our 7-day forecast, but there is a big cool down on the way. So this is fall, the transition season between summer and winter. We're going to get both seasons this week. So at least we're not looking at the record high temperature, and for that matter, at least we're not looking at the record low temperature here in our forecast. But one number I really wish we could do something about is this one right here. Our rainfall deficit year to date now sitting about a foot. 11.93. We're inching closer to that mark, and we're eventually going to surpass it because they don't have any meaningful rainfall in the forecast, unfortunately. At this point, we've seen such a gradual increase in our humidity that we're still seeing a big difference between that morning low temperature and the afternoon high temperature. And I told you those would slowly get closer to each other, but they are really taking their time at this point. But still, as we head on into the evening time frame, these dew points are going to be more noticeable. You'll have more of that subtle mugginess coming back to the forecast for the early morning, and that may just be enough moisture to bring some fog to the inland neighborhoods again this morning, because as we started the day off today, there was some mist and patchiness around the Kingsville area, but I think for commutes along 59, 281, 77, we may have a little bit more of that patchy fog to contend with as you head out the door for Thursday morning's commute. But will the afternoons be as warm as what we saw today? Well, along the coast hasn't been too bad. Those temperatures hanging out in the upper 70s right now, but we're still looking at middle to upper 80s for inland neighborhoods. So sunset just about 10-15 minutes away. Those temperatures are going to drop off substantially once we lose the daylight, but we are going to see that warmth return as we head into the next couple of days. So here's a look at the overnight forecast. Not a very foggy situation, but at times that patchy fog can be somewhat dense along the commute. It's a good idea to give yourself a little bit of extra time. But we'll be waking up to temperatures that are sitting in those upper 50s. Some of us a little bit warmer in the 60s. We're basically going to be on either side of 60 degrees. Still sweater weather in my opinion, but there is a big cool down on the way. You'll notice the roller coaster goes up pretty high before we have that steep fall, and we're going to be looking at very chilly mornings once we start next week. But the weekend is where that inflection point is. So with the humidity climbing, our temperatures climbing too, it may feel a little more like summer as we head on into Friday and Saturday. But I think Saturday's windy situation will be enough to kind of take the bite out of the 90-degree readings that we'll see across the coastal bend. And eventually we'll have much drier weather that feels cooler. So the big weather picture shows no such cold fronts here yet, but cold fronts trying to work their way down. Just need some help from the upper atmosphere. So this is not the front we are looking for. Still several days away as things kind of come together in the overall forecast. But we're not going to see that opportunity for rainfall because that humidity just isn't ample enough. We don't have enough water in the air or the dynamics to really bring that out into meaningful rainfall, unfortunately. So our rainfall deficit remains a problem here across the coastal bend. But here's a look at that 7-day forecast. We'll show you the good, the bad, the ugly. 90 degrees on Friday, 91 on Saturday, and 47 on Monday morning.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, there's some world-class racing going on this week in Corpus Christi Bay. You may have noticed a small fleet of small sailboats with colorful sails at McGee Beach. Well, they're here for the U.S. Multi-Hull Championship races being hosted by the Corpus Christi Yacht Club. Sailors from across the country and places like Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Australia, and England are taking part in the competition. The last time they were here was in 2021. Organizers liked Corpus Christi so much, they decided to bring the races back this year.
Here we are in 2025. We broke the previous record because it's just an amazing place to come. Corpus Christi is awesome. We love it here.
It's always windy, right?
It's always windy.
Well, racing day will be held daily through Friday from about 11 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon. The actual racing takes place out in the bay, so you might want to bring some of your binoculars. And the new Alice Memorial Stadium is currently on track. The Coyotes' new home has been under construction for the past 5 months, all for a new state-of-the-art stadium that will hold 6,000 seats. Alice residents Onesimo Castillo tells us while the project is moving along, he still questions how the community has prioritized sports ahead of academics.
You can't build a stadium overnight. So, it's an inconvenience that you have to put up with. But in the end, you're going to have a facility that's going to house, the Coyotes.
While it might not look like much, construction crews say they've done a lot of work you can't see. School officials say the stadium is expected to be completed in May. Well, who doesn't love a donut? Well, today is the perfect holiday to celebrate these hollow pastries. We'll share why when we come back.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, today's a day that most Americans love. It's National Donut Day. The popular pastry comes in all kinds of forms, whether frosted or filled or with sprinkles on top, and it's likely sure that your neighborhood has a donut shop that people gravitate to. Well, the history of the term donut, well, it dates back to 1808. That's the earliest recorded use of the word in short story with Boston Times article. A year later, noted short story writer Washington Irving referred donuts in his book, History of New York.
This started an argument in the newsroom last year because,
why?
What's your favorite donut provider? Is it Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts? Gates Donuts here is pretty good. Shipley's? Depends. So we're not going to start that fight right now because the weather's nice. We're gonna keep the vibes up. So
yes.
Now, do you dunk your donuts in hot coffee or iced coffee? I don't know, but the weather's going to be warm. So maybe you just choose here. We're going to keep those temps falling into the 60s as we head closer to midnight. So if you're going out for football tonight, take the sweater.
All right, everybody. Well, hopefully you have a donut tomorrow morning. We will see you at 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.